My upbringing taught me to have scarcity around money. I didn't have teachers and my parents telling me to be really frugal with my money, but the fact that I grew up in a single mother household, really struggling for money, constantly seeing my parents scrambling to find money to pay bills, had a really negative effect on my view of money, which has carried over into my adult life. When I was younger, my mom got diagnosed with cancer, and because of this cancer, she had to quit her job, which left only my dad providing for our household. Now, 50 years ago, this would have been totally fine. However, with the rising costs of living, having only one breadwinner in the family has become harder than ever. And this was an incredibly challenging period of time for my family. I can't speak on the logistics and the ins and outs of that period of time because I was so young, but I remember distinctly hearing my parents constantly arguing about money, how they're gonna pay this bill, my mom on the phone to some company she owes money to, shouting, arguing, and also just one morning waking up and going downstairs and seeing that our car's been clamped and my parents both scrambling, figuring out what to do because they now can't even drive to work. All of this stress had a massive impact on me. And going into my adult life, I had been taught subconsciously that money was a scarce resource, that I had to save it and be as frugal as humanly possible. And I'm sure a lot of people here can relate to that as well. You wasn't necessarily brought up into a really rich household where you had fuck you money, and your parents might have been struggling a little bit, and you found that now you're an adult, your relationship with money isn't necessarily very healthy. You're checking the prices on menial things like pasta sauce, and you're choosing the cheaper one, even though the one which costs 50p more, 50 cents more, is more nutrient dense and has less additives. But you're still choosing the cheaper one because you've been taught that money is scarce and you have to be frugal. And this is a really, really horrible way to view money. And it also really impacts your self-esteem as a man. When you're making the decision to save 50p, but sacrificing nutrient density and quality, that damages your self-image at a subconscious level. I remember making my first bits of money, and funnily enough, it was actually through trading skins in the game Counter-Strike. So if you don't know, the game Counter-Strike has a skin marketplace. You can buy camos for the game with real-life money, and then trade them with other players. I actually spent about 9 months trading Counter-Strike skins, and I was very successful with it. I managed to trade up from a camo which was worth $20 all the way up to a different camo which was actually worth over $2,000. And the good thing about this was I was able to sell that camo for real life money. So I had my first bit of money in a bank account, about $2,000. And for a while, I let it just sit in my bank account. I didn't dare spend it because, again, I was so frugal with my money. But eventually, after seeing my mom struggling with getting buses to work, she used to catch the public bus, public transport, which in the UK is absolutely terrible. You would waste a fuck ton of time just standing at bus stops waiting for buses, and then when you got on the bus you would have the lowest bottom of the barrel type of people on them because the area I was living in was quite rough as well. So she would be going into work every morning, wasting a lot of time and also being in potentially dangerous scenarios on these public transport buses. I decided to spend my money, and I spent it on buying my mom a car because she didn't have a car. And I'm very proud that I made that decision because it made her life a lot easier. It allowed her to more efficiently provide for us as a family. And at this point I was about 17 years old. But with what I know now, funnily enough, technically buying my mom a car was the wrong thing to do. Now, I don't regret it by any means at all, but there was a few different ways which I could have spent that money to more effectively get a better result over a longer period of time. Have you ever heard the phrase, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? I certainly have. My mom used to say this to me all the time, and it's actually very true. If you have a lump sum of money to actually work with, you have a far better chance of actually making something with your life rather than starting from zero. What money gets you is the freedom to take risks. Any successful businessman that you've ever spoken to has taken substantial risk to get to where he is. And to take that risk, you need a base level of cash to work with. Everyone that you look at is constantly drowning in financial pressure. Even if they seem okay, I guarantee you by the time their next paycheck comes in, they have near enough zero in their bank account. And that's why they remain stuck running on the same hamster wheel over and over and over again. With some base level of money to work with, you can begin to take a risk. And if that risk pays off, you actually set yourself up for life potentially. But without that money, you can't take that risk. So buying my mom a car was very nice. It allows her to get to her job more efficiently and safely. And again, I don't regret doing that. But perhaps if I'd used that money in a different way, at 17 years old, I could have started getting further ahead of the curve, and I could have achieved a similar result to what I've got now a lot sooner. So with that said, here's what I think you should do with your money. And if you don't have any money, I suggest that you do your absolute very best to live as far below your means as humanly possible. Certainly don't be buying any cars on a contract which locks you in for fucking 6 years and you're paying off a car for 6 years, because at that point you're completely fucked. Don't buy an apartment which is too much for you. Live below your means as much as humanly possible, even if that means living with your parents still. There's no shame in that. Save up as much money as you can, okay? I'd say about $10,000, £10,000 is a great start point. And then what you need to do with that money is take a risk. You need to gamble, right? Because understand this, the system which you've been running through your entire life, the education system, the 9-to-5 system, it is not designed for you to win long term. To actually win long term, you do need to take a risk. You need to gamble on yourself. And I'm not saying to buy a crypto and hope it catches a pump, because that's actually one of the worst things you can do. And I'll explain why. If you buy a crypto and you catch a pump and you like 10x your money, great, okay, cool. You've got a bunch of money in your account. The problem is you haven't developed as a character at all by catching that pump. And you might be thinking to yourself right now, oh Sam, if I could just 10x my cash with a crypto pump, that would be fucking awesome. It sounds awesome, but I promise you it might actually be one of the worst things that could possibly happen to you, because it essentially locks you in golden handcuffs, and you're going to be constantly chasing that next pump, that next bit of easy money, rather than actually trying to build something of value which continually brings income into your life. You're essentially going to lock yourself into gambling for money for eternity. It's very bad. So yes, you should take a risk with your cash, but I'm not saying a stock or a crypto. What I'm telling you to do is to actually invest your money in character development. That means taking that 10K, leaving your home country, going to a foreign land, and trying to find an avenue to make money online, which is going to sustain you for the foreseeable future. A lot of people say that the experience in life you gain when you go abroad is tripled. You ever play Call of Duty when you have a double XP weekend? It's essentially like that if you manage to get abroad. What it does is it actually forces you into action. You've got 10K, the amount is going down by the day, and you have to figure out a way to make something work. You have to use your brain. Sometimes in life, to actually take action, you need to kind of throw yourself in the deep end. I'll tell you a story now. I had the idea for my video editing course, which is my Academy of Excellence, for over 2 years. And it was only when I stopped getting paid my monthly retainer for working with one of my biggest video editing clients, where I decided to take action on actually building that product and that service. And it's one of the best things that could have happened to me, because I provide tangible value to the marketplace and continually have an income stream of cash to sustain my lifestyle, continue my character development, and to live a genuinely fulfilling and free lifestyle. If I had caught a crypto pump, it would have been game over. I would have never had the balls to take the risk to come to somewhere like Thailand and to build out my academy. I would have continually just put all of my money into crypto and continued flipping coins for the rest of my life. The reason why I think you should invest your money in character development is because there is only one constant in your life if you think about it. Everything else is variables. The people around you are variables. You never know if they're going to be on your team, not on your team, if someone's going to leave tomorrow or stay. Variables, you never know. But the only constant in your life is actually you. So especially when you're young, investing your money into developing you as a man, as a person, is never wasted. It's literally never gone to waste. Never. And you know what? Even if you take that risk, you come out to Thailand and you just can't find a way to make it work. Fine. You go back home, you rethink things, you stack your cash again, you think about the next risk you take. Throwing yourself into the deep end like you had in Thailand, for example, you've developed so fucking much, and you've failed so much, and you've learned so much. A lot of common advice I see in my space is that you should invest in your lifestyle. I actually disagree with that. If you're not comfortable in your home country, you shouldn't invest in your home country. And I think a lot of you can probably relate to me when they say, I don't really like my home country. I'd prefer to live somewhere else. So don't invest in your home country. Don't buy a car. Don't buy pets or like a really nice mattress or whatever it may be. Because frankly, all of those things, they're just going to tie you down. I've had a friend recently, he wants to move out to Thailand, but he's got an entire apartment full of all of his shit. And he's literally had to spend like 5 months trying to get rid of all of his shit. It's a complete waste of time. Don't invest in your home country if you're not comfortable there. Live below your means as much as possible. Stack some bands and get the fuck out of there. Throw yourself into the deep end. Another thing you should invest in is your business. As I just said, you need to find an avenue to make money online, right? So I'll give video editing as a perfect example of this because that's what I teach to over 500 students. A lot of these guys, they're editing on their computers and they're always complaining about like, oh, I've got a slow render time, da 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 da. Bro, buy new RAM for your computer. Let me put it this way, you know, a lot of people, they say, Sam, I want to get paid more. If you can literally double the effectiveness of your workflow, you're doubling your income by just buying a new PC. So absolutely invest in your business as well if you've got one. If you haven't got one, 100% invest in some mentorship or some sort of course, because you'll find that once you invest monetarily into a skill, you have this drive to make it work. You don't want that money to go to waste. And also just investing in something like this, if you can get people on your team genuinely rooting for you and wanting results for you, that's going to push you further so much quicker and so much more effectively. I used to pirate books. The thing is, I had all of these books, all of these incredible life-changing books, but I would never fucking read them. It's only when I started to buy the physical copies of books where I actually read them because I had invested into them. You understand? I actually get so much value from things that I invest in. It's only when I get stuff for free where I'm like, whatever. I don't do anything with it. That's the main reason why investing in courses and mentorships work so well. And that's why most people who invest in these types of things, especially if it's a good course and a good mentorship, get such better results than the average man. Until you have fuck you money and you've got a steady income stream coming in, you shouldn't worry about investing your money anywhere else outside of character development, experiences, and your business, okay? Those are the three things. That would be my advice to you, and I hope that was helpful. My name is Sam Harborne, and I help young men escape the trenches so that they can start to live their lifestyles of freedom. If you want more of my help, you can check the links in the description. I've already mentioned my Academy of Excellence. I teach over 500 guys how to make money online through video editing. And as you can see here, we're getting some really good results. Click the links in the description right now. Take care, boys.